Hello, and welcome back. This episode is going to be Phantasy Star 4, but they're in space! Of course, veterans of this series will know that everything, or at least a lot of things, happen because of space travel. So let's jump right in there. Okay, this is the problem satellite, so we should expect a dungeon with some tough fights in there, probably. Except here we have the cheerful mechanical music, so I guess not. This is Wherein. Named Wherein in the Japanese version, he is the most advanced android of his kind. One of the earlier models helped a certain royal family over the course of 3 generations as they explored and eventually saved the huge colony ship that carried them all. As such, Wherein is our representative of Phantasy Star 3. Oh, okay. Things are actually a little more complicated. But that's no problem. If we're on the wrong satellite, we have a shuttle. We can bring Wherein along and go to the satellite that's causing an actual problem. Doesn't seem like too much of a setback to me. Wherein is, of course, an android character, much like Demi was, but his skill set is more geared toward offensive stuff. And I think he's kind of better at his job than Demi was. Demi kind of had a supporting role with medic power, and for the brief point of the game where she was the only revival available to the party, that was really valuable. But you may have noted that other than that, she wasn't that great, except perhaps as a frontline regenerating tank. Wherein does that job better. And apparently he's been around for a while, but you wouldn't tell from his face. He is, of course, going to get more skills, but right now the notable one is Flare, which is a single target attack skill, which is independent of the weapon that he has. Instead, it uses his base stats plus a base amount of damage. Whether that's actually better than his normal attack depends greatly on what he's equipped with and what enemy he's facing. It deals laser damage, however, so as far as I know, there's maybe 2 enemies in the game that resist it, though it doesn't deal extra damage to anything either. We got a plasma sword. Chaz, you are now a not very popular one-on-one fighting game, I guess. Now, the pulse laser is a fairly interesting weapon. Its base power is a fair bit less than the weapon that Wherein starts with, but I'm gonna equip it anyway. And if you don't know why, well, I'll show you, don't you worry. We also got a second plasma claw. This is Plasma Town we're in right here. Unfortunately, Rune cannot use the plasma field, which is very unfortunate, because unlike the laser barrier, the plasma field actually does give resistance to laser-type attacks. However, Rika can use it, and this may be useful in boss fights where she'd spend most of her time healing anyway. Oh. Of course it's not that easy. Yeah, engine problems could be serious. When did you have a chance to get on here? Well, if you go by my videos, I spent some time doing side stuff after the shelter room opened and before I actually got on there, so my headcanon says that is when he got on there. Probably not too long before we arrived, because otherwise he would have just completely wrecked the engine by now, but still, the window is there. As bosses go, it's nothing special. Although, I'm a little embarrassed that I forgot to put Ren right at the front of the party when I first had the chance to. I think, in this case, Chaz is the correct one. Rune is a lot blastier than Chaz is. Talking like crash landing in a spaceship is no big deal. What I find interesting is that no other planets in this game get an introduction like that. It is, of course, not the first time in the series that we've visited Desolis, though the other times it was a little more dignified than this. Also, this shell is huge. I did not get the impression that it was this big from the other scenes, but, I mean, I guess space travel takes some stuff. You seem surprisingly calm considering that a little bit more momentum in the ship and you would have died. Well, okay, maybe not. Raja is a little special. Yeah, I think if it killed anyone, this guy would be a lot more irate. Oh, I feel bad for the translators when it comes to this guy. Most of his lines have Japanese puns in them, and anyone in the translation business knows exactly how impossible those things are to translate. Some of the more clever translators will throw in some replacement puns to keep things flowing smoothly, but that takes some expertise that we cannot reasonably expect here. Desolis, well, it was hurt a little bit by the Great Collapse because there were some Parmenian systems there, but they were not integrated nearly as heavily as they were in Motavia, so they're probably holding up better than most. Hey, if it leads us to our next spaceship, we gotta go with it, I guess. And about their reluctance to bring Raja with them. Well, there is no reason to worry. I guess we got a direction to go, anyway. Now, when we look outside, we'll see how ridiculous that statement was about a pleasure trip to the country. But Raja is, well, a quick look at Raja's skill set shows that he is a support character with lots of heals and strong mental stats. We're going to see the full extent of this as we go, but for now I want to state my belief that he is the most overpowered character in the entire series. If you know what you are doing, you will never die when Raja is in the party. He has some things that cheerfully break the rules that everything else has to strictly follow. And there's another one. Well, we got snowstorms that are bad even by Dasolian standards. I'm not sure I can properly express how bad that is. But at least the town is not a long walk away. And we have a situation that is unprecedented in the Phantasy Star series. Every other time the characters went to Dezolis in previous games, they had a lot of trouble getting along with the natives. In particular, they are notorious for lying to outsiders and being pretty hostile and unhelpful even when telling the truth, especially in Phantasy Star 2. Though, in that game, the Parmanians had created, and later abandoned, a huge mining complex that constantly gave off poisonous fumes, so once again, can't really blame them for not liking you. But this time, you have a respected Dasolian traveling with you, so they're going to relax a bit, and we're going to learn a lot more about them. One of the things that you could already learn from previous is that these people worship fire, which is the most natural thing I can think of on a planet like this. I guess there are some things that do not change no matter what planet you're on. And we got that information broker music too. Well, okay, I guess not everyone's gonna be friendly no matter who's with us. I'm kinda surprised their house is still standing after that much snowfall. But, yeah. Getting your hat blown off is a bit of a pain, but that wasn't the first thing I thought of. Oh, another one of those, huh? Another ominous tower thing that's causing problems. Possibly the same kind of design as Ziosport 2, that thing looks kind of alive. Gumbius Temple is the Vatican of Desolis. So by extension, this guy is probably one of the top priests of the entire world. Which, I guess, to some extent explains why he's as powerful as he is. Yeah, we have all of these... Okay, I want to backtrack a little bit. Our party seems to attract the most absurdly powerful people. First it was Rune, and then Raja, which, well, we haven't really demonstrated what he can do yet, but please take my word for it. And to give you an idea of the esteem he's put in... This is apparently not by any means the first or possibly even the craziest adventure that Raja is going to go on. From their perspective, this entire party is Raja and friends. Yep, Chaz connected the dots too. There's no need to stop by the shops just yet, though. And yep, there are Parman towns here too. I'm kind of surprised they weren't persecuted too hard after what happened in Phantasy Star 2. But I guess since the Great Collapse might have actually fixed certain things on Desolis, and, well, the mine was really bad, but it wasn't as bad as the Motavian terraforming. Things might have calmed down a bit quicker here than in Motavia. And yeah, this is mostly a backstory and scene-setting episode, but we gotta have those sometimes. I mean, it's better than straight filler, at least. I'm not especially a going outside person myself, but... well, maybe in the current circumstances it's more explainable. About those walls of ice, we can't actually get past them yet. Huh, apparently losing your hat is actually a big deal. Well, I'll take their word for it. I don't live on an ice planet. Laconia. That's... well, it's a step up from what we're doing. For sure. And also one of the main reasons it was worth going through all of those hunter missions before. Although... all of the missions that I did last episode, the payouts from those still do not fully pay for even one suit of armor, so money's gonna be... well, we'll have to make some decisions. Well, I'll do all the other stuff off camera, of course. No one wants to sit through all these equip menus and selling old gear. But once again, we got the weather problems. Well, I should say climate problems. And if it's too much for even the natives to handle, then of course it's really serious, and this is one of those times where everyone talks about the weather and yeah, we actually have to do something about it. That seems to happen a fair bit in Phantasy Star. Well, this town and the place we're going to explore is a reference to a certain space pirate Tyler. He rescued our heroes from the prison satellite above Parma back in Phantasy Star 2, and of course he is long gone at this point. He did not exist in the Japanese version of the game, but I guess they liked him enough to make him canon for later games. And of course, by the game, I meant Phantasy Star 2. Circumstances were not... well... let's move past that. The encounters here on the way to whatever is down here, they're not terribly exciting. I mean, there's not much to say. They hit hard, of course. And if I was a little smarter, I might have considered putting a second shield on Raja, but what can you do? So let's go do all that off-screen equipment stuff that I was talking about. And we're back again with better gear. I decided to put the only suit of silver mail that I could afford on Chaz, because at worst Rika can equip that shield if she needs more defense, but Chaz would not be able to do much if he didn't have a sword. And the android, of course, gets new gear from treasure chests. In fact, that's a thing that happens throughout this game. There are plenty of shops that sell swords, claws, and other weapons, but no one sells guns because that's ancient technology and there aren't a whole lot of androids to use them. Though in Phantasy Star 2, there were at least a couple of people who could use guns in general, and one in particular who could use huge guns. Although I'm not sure that's because people were just more knowledgeable about them back before the Great Collapse, or they just hadn't thought of creating android party members yet. And this shows a problem with combination attacks, especially the way I handled that macro. And that's what the pulse gun does. Not great for bosses, but the ability to attack the entire enemy party just as a normal move is pretty good. Right, so the thing about trying to put two characters of moderate speed towards the front of a macro is that even if you put the faster character second, turn order is randomized a fair bit, to the extent that if there's a small or even moderate difference of agility, the slower character can often move first or get interrupted by a monster, so it's actually best to put a really slow character in front if you're going to use a combination attack. And that's the problem I just fixed right there. But we're not going to see that particular combination just yet because I just didn't have a good chance to use it. I consider Flailai kind of Rune's equivalent of a normal melee attack because it's not the strongest thing and he is guaranteed to not run out of it in any reasonable dungeon run. And here you gotta remember, even though you're on Desolis, the planet of ice, not every enemy is going to be weak against fire. You have to at least look at them and think, okay, this is a fire moth that's using flame bolts, maybe fire won't work so well. Landale. Named after, of course, Alice Landale. Well, as I said, just about every line of Raja, a pun, completely mangled by this translation of the game. But hey, we got access to the thing that'll finally take us to the next dungeon, so I think that's enough progress for now. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time.